Welcome to LoreForged. I am your host, Sonny Ravencourt, and I am doing this particular part because it turns out that JB can't see 6 inches in front of his face if he doesn't have his actual glasses on. So this is our second take at this because JB tried to hit some buttons with sunglasses on instead of real glasses, and we don't know what happened, but it did not go well, and it involved a couple full restarts. Cash, do you have anything further you'd like to elaborate on?
It also turns out that we all in this entire process might have scratched our corneas. So we are here now, standing in solidarity with Steven.
Solidarity. You ready for the second attempt at a screenshot for this? Ready?
Oh, we're doing this?
2,
oh
1.
my gosh.
Great.
All right, perfect.
JB,
yes.
You may now take off your glasses. Please keep your hands on the desk at all times. Do not click any buttons. We are now safe to commence the show.
Welcome, everybody. This is LoreForged. For everyone who's here, this is LoreForged Live. We appreciate all of you hanging out with us. This is episode 43, and it is all about the Node Wars update. This is take number 2. But anyway, welcome in, everybody. And before we get started, we are joined by... Wait, you already introduced, but I'm going to do it again anyway, just because why not? Second time's a charm. Sonny Ravencourt.
Hello. This is the second massive technical difficulty I've had today because it turns out, this is a pro tip, do not attempt to update your graphics card while streaming and playing a game.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. I saw all the colors. It was like I was at a fish show. It was amazing.
That's
Did
awesome.
it do it automatically?
Nope. I sure did click that button.
What are you thinking?
Yep. It was a terrible idea. It was just objectively an awful decision, and I paid for it immediately.
Lesson learned. You are a professional. Do not upgrade your computer during a stream. And Cash is here. What's going on, my dude?
Hello, everybody. I was at Walmart today, and somebody tripped and fell, an elderly person. And I helped them up back to their walker, and I dusted them off and made sure they weren't hurt. And then I stole his goggles.
Are you sure those aren't like for watching an eclipse or something? Like out of your peripherals?
They're for everyday use to keep all of the UV rays out of my eyes.
I was going to say, I think what really happened is you threw a fire log in front of somebody's rascal and then stole the blue blockers off their face and ran like hell.
Well, everything happened so quickly. The actual facts are a little bit jumbled, but it was something like that. I helped him up, might have tripped him.
One of those things.
One of those things. Oh, well, everybody, welcome in. This episode is all about the Node Wars development update. Thanks so much for push and play. For all of you here at the live show, welcome in. And thanks so much to all of you who watch on YouTube as well. So before we get started, a couple reminders. Number 1, next week is the big week, what we've been working towards for the last month. Most of our time has went in toward, hence a very limited amount of videos coming out on Fridays. And so anyway, June 14th, Guild Reveal, 8 p.m. EST. Now, this will be recorded, and this will be our episode for the week. Just a quick note, because it's such a big deal for us and kind of the focus for the week for us. And so, 8 p.m. EST over here on the Twitch channel. You can come watch it, twitch.tv/LoreForgedHQ. And then following that, we have on the 18th, Jamie Chaos from Tangents of Creation will be joining the show. It's going to be fun and exciting. That'll be the first time I talk to that guy. It's going to be a good time.
Very exciting.
It's going to be super exciting. I had a really cool conversation with Jamie and Nice and Stukeno and Chibi and a whole bunch of content creators today in our Discord. We have a content creators Discord, and it was actually super cool. I think one of the comments that was made was that it is really nice to be able to collaborate and just shuck and jive with all the other content creators for Ashes. It's just it's a very blessed thing that we have here with this community. So don't take it for granted.
Agreed.
No.
Awesome.
No, I was talking to somebody else about that as well, actually. We were talking about how this is like such a special time because like we're so far out from it that the content creators at this point are, we're just all enjoying the content and we're all enjoying each other's company for the most part. I mean, there's a few outliers, but like the vast majority of us are really enjoying that. And we wondered, will it change like 3 months out when everyone is just all over this thing? Because it will probably be that way. I'm guessing that 3 months out, this thing is going to be a big deal. And you're going to get all sorts of new faces in there that everybody wants a piece of the pie. And I explained, JB and I particularly back in the day, man, that early SWOTOR, couple months out, it was a zero-sum game. If you had a listener, it means you stole it from another podcast, and they would stab you for that.
Yep.
It was not great. This much more fun this way.
Yeah, I know that a lot of the big, content creators are going to come in. Like you're going to have people like, Peon coming in, bringing his community, and Asmongold will probably be here with his community. So there's going to be a lot of like really big content creators that come in and steal the spotlight from the little people, which is fine. But that will never take away this experience that we're having right now as folks who are dedicated to the development of this game and are talking with each other on a regular basis and like sharing information that typically content creators don't do. They kind of have their own formula and they kind of go their own way, but it's just not that way with Ash's creators. And it's really, really cool to see that. So Zillan was in there today too. He's in the chat.
Oh, awesome. Hey, welcome in.
I'm not talking to Zillan. He's throwing me a lot of shade right now about the whole.
He's throwing all of us shade.
He's so much shade coming out of that guy. I don't know. What's your problem is, Zillan?
I'm going to give you a big, giant hug, and I'm going to put my hips in just to make it a little weird.
Yep, that's weird. All right, moving on.
Well, before we also move on, we would like to formally welcome. We had no idea that they were even out or available. And I'll be honest, I was scanning the Ashes of Creation main Discord, their community media page, and I saw it there, and I was so stoked. Love their logo. Anyway, there's a brand new Ashes of Creation podcast called Ashes of the Gray. Make sure you go check them out. It's from the Gray Sentinels Roleplay Guild. So to all of you listeners here, when you're done here, go check them out. Show them love and support. Show them all that
cool
LoreForged love. Oh, yeah, that's amazing. They did.
Cool logo.
It almost reminds me of EverQuest Next. It looks beautiful. And then Sunny.
Yes. Okay, so this is something that was something that I felt was a little bit overdue as far as recognition. We have a Discord community. You are welcome to come and join our Discord community. I'm going to put a little. Actually, I'm going to ask Katie to go ahead and do it. She's in the chat right now. Katie, go ahead and throw a little Discord link in there for the people because I'm about to recognize you. Because in our Discord community, Katie has taken to using some AI art to create sleepy owls in a tavern. And so she has given us a series of these things. And so if you look at the screen right now, you can see on our background is a couple sleepy owls in a tavern. Every now and then she dumps one of those in the morning if she feels like it is one of those days. And it just brings a smile to my face every single time I see him. The artwork is amazing. I don't know. She said that she was using Copilot, believe it or not, Microsoft Copilot to make these. And I don't know what her parameters are, but she has got it dialed in. There's some like adventuring ones. I saw like an armor smithing little sleepy owl. They usually have a cup of coffee next to them. It is just kind of brilliant. So the owls are the best. And Katie, we cannot thank you enough for being such an important part of our little Discord family. So cheers to you and happy hoots.
That's awesome. I love that sort of thing.
I feel like that was the appropriate time to
do a hoot. Oh, that's good. Well, fellas, we saw it. It was pretty awesome. The latest development update on Node Wars. The community's going nuts over it. We're going nuts over it. So yeah. What'd you all? I don't know. I'm just gonna open it up. What'd you all think of the development update?
Cash?
Oh, I happen to have some prepared notes, sir.
Okay, I should have gone first.
I'll just hit some of the highlights. So, just kind of getting back into it a little bit about what my expectation. I don't even want to say expectations. What my hopes were for this. particular showcase. And I think I talked about it on a previous show that I really didn't want to see a bunch of combat. I wanted to see the mechanics behind it. I wanted to see how the, maybe some really cool graphics of how the nodes are interacting back, kind of behind the scenes, like super cool things like heat maps and stuff like that. I nerd out over stuff like that. So I was really hoping for something like that. And there was a little bit of mechanic stuff at the beginning, but by the time they got into the combat, we were live streaming it. I was completely mesmerized by the flow of combat and the upgrades that have been made. So I'm just throwing that out there immediately. I absolutely fell in love with the flow of combat. And I just could not take my eyes off it. Some of the major points that I think really worked out for me, the UI seems to be coming along very well. I'm sure we're going to talk about all these things. I loved in the UI how the other mayor can basically talk trash over global messages. That was epic. That was epic. And it was Margaret. It's like, oh my gosh. So it was super cool. I was very excited about the mayoral commissions and the way that they work for different node types. There's a nice variety of those things. I was kind of intrigued by some of the mechanics of the actual fight, where there's that Tauren Godspike thing, the artifact that popped up. That was really a cool little thing. And then, just the different node war event types. There's a whole bunch of them, like territory control, service denial. We're going to talk about all this stuff, guys. I'm just like glancing over the top. Relic theft, gold siphoning, the mayoral takeover. Okay. Yeah. That one sounds like really, really cool. So, and then the whole like point system and how the points worked and how wars are attached to phases, and phases have events that you have to complete in order to gain said points and advance your team. I'm super stoked at how this whole thing's shaking down.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Are you sure you're done? Do you want me to yield some time for a few more of your overarching bullet points here?
No, unless you want the rest of the show to be me, which I don't want either. I just hit the big points, and then we can talk about the minutiae.
It's my top 17 big points.
Is this not a podcast? Don't we talk?
This is a running kick. Wow, he went right for both of them, didn't he?
It's happened so rarely. I just feel like I had to get it out there.
Why?
All right, in honor of Steven, I will do my top 17 opening points with sunglasses on. By the way, do his glasses not look awesome?
Oh, they look amazing.
He's got good sunglasses, right?
He's got good taste.
I thought Margaret sold him out a little bit, though. She should have had the sunglasses on. Margaret did have a cat tree, though, which we've discovered. We were looking through the back issues to see whether or not that cat tree was new, and it appears that it is. She's got a cat tree now. Okay, so with regards to the big things on this, it was just a lot of fun, right? Like, it was just a lot of fun, top to bottom. It starts out and he's in town, and you get to see that mayoral system a little bit, the mayor commissions and how that war gets started. That was very cool. I will say this, for a guy who has inspired so many people to be excited about MMOs, Steven, not great at pre-war speeches. Stumbled a little bit, kind of got lost, had to be bailed out by one of his lieutenants. All in all, I'd give that about a C. So maybe he wants to spend a little more time on the pre-war speeches, less time finishing up the MMO we all want to play.
He needs an intern.
He needs an intern, right? We're gonna send Rogue over his way. The autumnal dragon, right? Like the autumn leaf dragon. I guess Margaret designed that.
Yeah.
That was a design by Margaret, and it just looks amazing, right? It just is the coolest. I did not realize that mayors get to fly around on dragons and fight each other. That was kind of a thing, and this will be my last point, was one of the things that I was actually happy to hear was what was in a functional state and what was not dialed in yet. So when they said visual effects and UI, those are the things that we get it. Like some of these things don't look right. Some of these things are just like icons that aren't there yet. Those are the kind of things that like, if you tell us that this stuff isn't like ready, this looks like garbage and it's not meshing right. And you're missing an icon there. It's like, we get it. We're fixing it. But the other stuff, that's where we want advice on. So just kind of one of those things that I thought it was very nice to have that kind of clarity of it, exactly what they want the feedback on and what kind of things they understand are still working. Man, it was a wild ride, JB. I had a great time watching it.
Yeah, it was very well done. And like going into this, I mean, there was a lot of stuff was up in the air. Like, what was this going to look like? How was it going to feel? When you talk Node Wars, like, well, for me, it was, what am I going to see? And they didn't disappoint. They really didn't disappoint. Just some of the things off the top, when we're talking like UI, like right off the top, I mean, that mini map, they have dialed that in again. And then like, I know I screamed down here watching it, and like, I think I scared my cats like out of the room. The moment they popped that world map up, I mean, they have put some serious work with serious updates to that mini map and the map overall. It was absolutely amazing to see. And not to mention the locations, like, like everyone who's watching it right now live on stream, they're running to the battle, and as they're running to the battle and riding those mounts, those are points of interest that I don't believe we've seen before. A lot of the kind of cutting through the valley of, it looks like just like in between a couple mountains there. Overall, I just really felt like from a UI standpoint, it just is, it's such an improvement, month in and month out.
I loved how, and we should actually go over the process of how war is declared and such. But I loved how once war was declared, that the map had like the area of operation. Basically, it just there was like a circle right there, and it's like, okay, your objectives are in this world. They are not instanced, but they're within this range. And that's like the territory that the battle was going to take place. And it was a very large area as well. I mean, there were brooks going through it, and there were bridges and choke points, and there were things that you had to achieve within there. And I was super, super impressed with all of that. And that does tie into the UI just because of, how the map showed that circle. And I absolutely agree with you. I think the map, and I actually didn't even put that in my notes, which blows my mind. The map was gorgeous. It kind of reminded me of like a detailed topo map, like without the grids and all the stupid numbers. It was kind of topoed out, and I liked that a lot. It was just gorgeous because you could see like small elevations and stuff like that. So I was a fan.
When you're talking about that, that's a really good point that I wanted to jump in, and it's one of my biggest takeaways from this was after they declared the war and they went into it, and we can talk a little bit about that later, but after they were on the road and traveling, one, it was a long way. It was a long way to get to the place. So like, it's big. But two, the way that they had to get there really, I thought, highlighted that it's not just, cross the countryside type of stuff. The three-dimensionality of the world that they're building is real. It is a very big thing. It was as simple as them just trying to get to the area of operation. You could tell there was three-dimensional objects in the way that, caused them to take paths and, like you said, choke points and things like that. But once the fighting started, it was the exact same situation. You had three-dimensional choke points where two things stood out immediately. One is the ability to put a wall up and choke a place out. And the other was the archers, the hunters that were standing on, like, they're hiding behind areas, and then they pop out and just rain down arrows. And that kind of thing just cannot be understated, that when you build a game where you're able to sort of Assassin's Creed your way up to high points, if it's a tactical advantage, that's a real thing. If you're able to put a barrier in the place that you want to funnel all your people through, that's a real thing. Those kind of tactics are very important. And sometimes in games, and I kind of feel like ESO was a little bit of this way, that Zerg ball just, there's no obstacles to it. It just rolls over whatever's in its path like a tornado through a Kansas town. It's just, trailer's gone, whatever. Doesn't matter. There's no stopping it. And this, you really could change the battle. So that was a big takeaway just on your note about the maps. I immediately noticed that.
Yeah, so I think just kind of detailing out how it went, and I was actually very satisfied with the way that they presented everything, because it was just like we just got a massive raid from the Golden Feather.
You all are so nice. Welcome in, everybody.
Everybody loves the Golden
Thank you.
Feather.
Welcome in, everybody, from the Golden Feather. The way that they laid everything out was actually, it was very palatable for how the process actually works. And it was basically, Stephen was going along his day, and they started talking a little bit about this and that. And then all of a sudden, they realized that another node was basically talking crap on him, and they were doing it through global, which was hilarious. So Stephen started putting out some commissions. It must have really ticked him off that Margaret did that. I thought they had such a great relationship, but apparently there's a little tension there.
A little behind the scenes.
Yeah,
you think you're just going to have a kid and take a few months off? Is that how this is going to work? You just leave whenever you want? I mean, what kind of sidekick are you?
That is not how this works. So Stephen starts throwing out these mayoral commissions. And I think the one of the very interesting ways that the commission system works is that it kind of forces a mayor to pay attention to his people. Because if you start putting out commissions that your people don't want to do or aren't willing to do, you're not going to get those commissions completed. And the predicates for war aren't going to be met. So they sped it up, and strangely enough, Stephen had the things that he needed inside his inventory. It was
exact amount.
Very well.
The exact amount.
And on top of that, they sped it up to where just a few players completing those things would kind of push this along for the auspices of the showcase. However, they said it was probably in the hundreds of players would have to finish a lot of these commissions in order to satisfy that predicate for war. So then once that was done, they were alerted to a possible enemy, a hostile presence at the front gate of Marileth, and they went to go investigate. And sure as heck, there were people from, was it Winstead?
Yep.
There were people from Winstead in Marileth. They were kind of making a blockade across the road. So Stephen decided to pull no punches, and he declared war right there since the predicates were met. And then what that did was, we were talking about that area of operation, it just popped that thing up on the map. And now all of a sudden you have these different, you're in a war phase. And with this war phase comes events. And you have to, in order to progress the phase, you have to complete set events. And what it was they had to gather a certain resource, and the resources were spawnable within that zone. So you could harvest them. And then there was also bandits that would drop the resource that was needed. So the way that I see that working is you are probably going to have teams that do nothing but gather and don't get into combat with it. They just try and gather as much as you can, because you have to gather the stuff and then take it to somebody in your base. There's bases on either side, and you have to turn it in. Now, if you have a full load and you die, you're going to lose it. So it's just very little intricate details.
Yeah, let me jump in a little bit on this because you mentioned a couple things that are worth noting. When he started the mayoral commission and when he started the war itself, he said, this is a war for territory. Okay. And some of this was pretty confusing. There was like a lot going on. And he said, I've started a war for territory. If we end up winning, we are basically going to get this point of interest. Now, I had to actually have like some conversations with people about the clarity of this because I thought he was going to get the node, right? Like I thought he was fighting for pink slips for nodes. And that was not actually the case. He was just getting like a piece of territory. And he talked about all of the different kinds of wars that might take place. To me, this is another one. This is a great example again of why words matter. And it just kind of drives me crazy because they did this with the crafting system. It's not the crafting system, it's the artisan system, because crafting is one element of the three things. There's gathering, processing, and crafting. But everyone thinks of crafting as crafting, okay? And so when you say war, you mean war. Why would you call it war if you don't siege and take over the node, right? Like a war and a siege are different. A siege is going to take out the node. A war is not. A war can be all of these other different things. And so you had, and it was just a little bit, discombobulated, but he did bring up a bunch of cool opportunities for wars. And some of those are the ability to siphon off money from another thing, the ability to like disrupt their crafting. They can't use their crafting terminals, things like that. Just a lot of flexibility for the mayor to be able to say, I want to engage in economic warfare through actual warfare this way on these guys in this time. And that is really, really cool. To be able to do that kind of stuff. Now, all those things aren't in play yet, but that was one of those things where he started just laying it out. Like, this is territory gathering. I get it, but here are all the other things you can do, and there'll be different levels of commitment to that. Right? They won't all be what they are. Some of them will be much bigger. Some of the people in the chat, I know, we're talking like days. Like a war could take days, and then other ones will be much smaller, but you're going to get a much smaller reward. Again, risk reward. Right? Anyway, that was my point on that.
Yeah, I mean, you guys both bring up some great points. I think one of the things that stood out to me the most is as they were starting this war, as the fighting was starting, this showed me that these are truly for. You got ice in there? What do you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You crunching on ice?
That's my bad. I totally didn't think you'd be able to hear that.
Sonny, okay. That's not good for your teeth.
Jeez, I feel like hitting the
you need to push right now.
You
know what you need to push right now.
You are a professional. You are doing it wrong. I'm so sorry. I didn't know you'd be able to hear that.
Worth every penny.
Jim's like, so what's really cool?
Look, I'm sorry, all right? I can only say I'm sorry so many times. One more time. I did it wrong.
Oh, that's good. So one of the things that stood out to me, though, about this war was how they have made it in such a way with what we saw specifically, the node war type of fight. It's for everybody. So it's not just for your PvPers. It's also for your PvEers. You see that, and you're going to see a lot of that strategy, I think, when it comes down to, Cash, you brought it up, when you had the NPCs, and Sunny as well, when they're getting the resources that they needed to gather. Like you have that going on. On top of that, you have various points that they are fighting over going on. And so it is a lot to manage. It is like legitimately a real-time strategy game to me, watching them do all the things that was being done. And so to me, what this stood out overall was everybody can get involved. It doesn't matter if maybe PvP, I don't know what my struggle is talking today. Maybe PvP is not your thing. And I totally get it. It's not for everybody. However, you can still contribute. And, it'll just take more tactics and to be smart about it. And I think that's great.
So speaking of tactics, I love that you said what you said and then brought tactics up, because along with what Sonny was saying, with all these different node war event types, the one that we saw was territory control. And even with territory control, you can see all of the different tactics that a battlefield leader might take. The way Steven did it was, Steven gave his troops direction and he said, I want some of you to go and gather the resources. And if you're attacked, run, go to the next resources. That is your job. And then everybody else was supposed to fight the bandits for the resources and defend the other folks who were just gathering the resources, right? So it's a strategy. But that's territory control. There's a million ways to skin that cat. And now you have other types of node wars, like, say, gold siphoning, okay? Or the mayoral takeover, or the service denial. And I'll explain each of those a little bit. Service denial, you're disabling certain services in buildings in the opposing node. So like you can shut down their caravansary, right? In a relic theft, you're stealing relics from the opposing node. In gold siphoning, you're literally siphoning gold from their treasury. Those are going to open up different types of tactics. Subterfuge, betrayal. Like there's going to be so many other ways to fight that particular war, but it's still a war. You're still at war with your other node. And whether all of those different tactics eventually culminate into like some type of a territory control war, where now you're literally fighting each other because you've upset each other so much. That is going to be the joy in this particular system. And it could end up being like the major mode of gameplay for a lot of people. I know that we talked about that with caravans too, but like caravans is all a part of this. So I'm super impressed at the way all of these systems that they're showing us seem to be gelling together. It's a masterpiece.
Yeah, I think it really opened up a lot of opportunities for what you were talking about with that small group tactics, right? And I have said it before, I say it all the time. It's logistics. That's how you win wars, is logistics. And so Stephen alluded to some of that stuff that people were asking, if I'm a crafter, if I'm that person that is not a frontline PvPer, do I still have the ability to contribute in these kind of war efforts? And the answer is emphatically yes. And it will continue to be more and more yes as they flesh out some of these war types, as they do some of these things. I want that to be the case, okay? I want that to be important, where you have people that are like, I want Rosie Riveter to win the war, all right? I want those kind of people that are back at home building planes and stamping out iron and like, putting little ammo cases together. Those people are important to a war effort, and that's honestly historically how wars are won. And so I think that in this game that's an important thing. To be able to have that. And I think that Steven recognizes that. I think that he says that those gamers are important to the war effort, because his line all the time is that PvE builds the world and PvP changes it. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's fine. But those people that are engaged in PvE can also support the PvP. And so I'll be excited to see how some of those node types, those war types, flesh out with more and more contributions. I love when you have different kinds of things as far as missions to accomplish the task. When you have the different kind of war types that require different sort of phases involved in it, where you got to gather these things, you got to move these things over here, you got to build these things, whatever it is, in order to actually accomplish the larger issue, which is whatever the mayor says the larger issue is going to be. So
right.
It became a much more interesting tactical game for me, honestly, over this last development update. I was like, there is depth to this. It is not just, okay, we're going to declare a siege. Now you have X amount of days. It felt new, like New World is like your basic entry to that, right? We're declaring the thing. Okay, now there's going to be a battle. If you win the battle, the whole place turns green. If you lose the battle, you get to keep it yellow. Congrats. Good luck. 200 people in a battle. I hope you're good, because if you aren't, you're all going home. That's it, right? This is nuance. This is depth. I like this a lot.
What do you think of the combat? So, like the pacing of combat, the appearance of combat. How do you like? What was your guys' take on it? Cash, I'm going to you first.
For me, it was very simple. And then, as I stated before, like I wanted to see less of that and more mechanics, but I was absolutely locked in once I was watching all of those battles take place. The thing that stuck out most for me is probably insanely selfish, but I could not get my eyes off of that Ranger gameplay. It epitomized what a Ranger should look like. He was jumping up on elevated platforms and finding strategic locations. If he got into a sortie where there were too many people too close, then he would just escape out. And I saw some stealth mechanics in there where there were some flanking maneuvers going on onto their back line. And everything I saw of the Ranger is exactly the way that I want to play this game. So I was super impressed by that. Now, if I take more of a broad stroke on it, I loved the flow. I thought time to kill is getting very good. It looks very, very nice. I was very excited to see how there's some survivability there. I was insanely surprised at how critically important clerics are going to be.
Oh, yeah.
My gosh, like you will need to protect that back line of healers because they are essential for battle and really powerful. I don't know how much that's going to get nerfed because it seems like clerics are very powerful right now, but the way that everything seems to be balanced this early in the game, there's some Ranger gameplay right there. Just amazing. Absolutely amazing. The flow of battle seems very fun. It seems survivable unless you get completely targeted or overextend, but you should be punished if you overextend. It is really going to make team gameplay the cornerstone of a victory. I truly believe that cooperation, and this really showed how cooperation and being able to make those play calls for your team is going to be a big, big game changer for who wins. But overall flow of battle, A+. Super excited.
How are you still wearing your sunglasses?
They're actually really freaking comfortable.
I can't do it, man. I mean, I know these are my wife's sunglasses, but like I've got the lights and the sunglasses and I'm trying to like read the chat and talk to you guys and I feel like I'm going to have a stroke. Like it's not going well.
I can't find like a good pair of glasses that I could wear with closed ear headphones like this, like my recording headphones. But these are made for 80+, bro. And
oh my God,
you don't want to make grandma or grandpa or great grandmother or great grandfather uncomfortable with their glasses. So they're really
Mildred is going to be upset with you. She's right now. She's gone back to Wal. She's ridden her rascal back to Walmart and she's looking in the aisle floors and the corners for her glasses. And you've got them, man.
There's no better place to rob an elderly person of their spectacles than Walmart. You just turn around and go back in.
Because that's where they feel safe. That's their safe place, Cash.
Not in the parking lot.
You went into their safe place.
They're at the pharmacy standing there getting their medicine and all of a sudden they just get kicked in the side and just go over and Cash takes their sunglasses and runs away.
She goes, some bald hoodlum stole my husband's spectacles.
Youth got my glasses.
That's not an old person, Sonny.
Why are they Harry Carey, Sonny? Like, what's going on there?
It's Harry Carey's wife. Stole my glasses.
Cubs win.
The Cubs win. Cubs win. Where's my Harry Carey glasses?
Phantom X says, that's my hemorrhoid cream,
Cubs
lady.
win. Cubs win.
Oh, it's so good. Gosh.
All right. No more of that.
No more of that.
Have we talked about the shield wall yet?
Well, hang on. I want to get there. We're going to get there.
Okay.
I want to make a point real quick. So whenever I'm watching basically I'm kind of going off what Cash was saying. I felt as though the pacing of the combat felt really good. It felt very good because when I was watching this happen, it felt like people weren't just getting deleted. You had to earn it. Granted, if you had multiple people on one person, like, hey, there's only so much you can do, right? Like there's only so much a DPS can do in that situation, and there's only so much your healers can do for you in that situation. But overall, I felt like I actually got to watch a fight happen. I felt it looked very good. It felt very good. I love this time to kill. I really, really do. And that's not to say that, hey, if you get caught in a 1v1 situation, you could be, meeting your end. We watched a cleric walk up to a ranger that was either looking at their items on the screen or something, like staring at the mushrooms on the ground. And the cleric throws a spell at him and he just raises his head and turns and then just deletes him.
You have picked your last action.
Yeah, pretty much.
I thought was funny. I thought what was funny too is that number one, Steven didn't die. He didn't die at all, right?
Did you know that he was level 30 and everybody else was 15?
Oh, Steven.
Was he really?
I'm pretty sure. I'm going to need some confirmation from the chat on that, but I'm pretty sure he was 30 and everybody else was 15.
Is that true? Yes. Oh,
yep,
Steven.
The chat's giving me a definitive yes on this. There it is.
Oh,
I did see
gosh.
him overextend a few times. He pushed into a group of 3 or 4 combatants. And I'm just going Steven, you're a mage, dude. What are you doing?
Oh, yeah.
And then he starts to get attacked, and immediately he's like, "Help! I need help. Is there a cleric available?" And they kept him alive. I got to give him that, but I love the fact that he was level 30 and everybody.
I will say this, though. He did die once. He did die.
Yes, he did.
He did. He did die.
I missed it.
It was funny because you could tell when he would get into combat because, he's doing, walking, kind of taking everybody along to the ride, right? And then and you just slowly see his vision just keep getting brought in a little bit more until he was full on tunnel vision. And he charged in as a mage into a 3v1 situation. And then he's like, oh, there's people here. I got to get out. I'm like, Steven, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Do you ever think his employees are like, oh, it's Steven. Oh, you're hurting me so bad. Oh, Steven, you're so strong. Oh.
That's exactly what I would have done.
It's like Planendorf is out there. Oh no, Steven, no, your skills are so strong.
I'm sorry, but you don't killing blow the person who signs your paycheck.
That's true. Oh man, that's so funny. Yeah, no, I thought it was great overall. I really did. So let's talk about that tank wall. That's come up more than once. And Sonny, I'm glad you brought it up.
Okay, tank wall. I'm just gonna throw it out to you real quick in 10 seconds. Tank wall, yay or nay? Cash.
Yay. And the reason I'll say it is this. I don't think that is something that we normally see with a tank class. I've never seen anything like that. That's usually like an arcane class that has something like that. I really did like the what it does. And I call it the big red wall. It's essentially the tank ability that's called wall simply. What it does is summons a glorious wall. This is actually the description of it. At least it's on the wiki. Summons a glorious wall at the target location, obstructs movement and blocks projectiles. I loved the way this thing worked because I think it was really good for choke points. The one thing that I didn't like about it was that I didn't like the color. And I know that probably seems super petty, but and maybe it's something that's new that they're going to work on. Maybe it's something that's in place so that it's an ability as opposed to an actual wall. But something maybe a little more magical, like maybe if it was kind of a stone wall that had lightning or something on it. I don't know if that would mean that the amount of arcane influence coming from a tank is too much, but it's already a spell that the tank has, right? So I think a different color would actually be really cool. But this is what I saw. You want to talk about getting a few tanks together and locking someone down? If they put that wall in a V formation or even a box, imagine if tanks had the ability, which they do, to just block someone in. You want to block a healer off so that so the other people can get hits on them. That is a strategy.
Did you see somebody climb the edge of the wall though?
I did, but it was Planendorf. By the way, I want to thank Planendorf for coming into our stream that day.
He's
and
here right
answering
now.
Questions for us. Planendorf's in here. What's up? Welcome. Thank you. Yeah, there was a point where they were at a choke point. A tank threw down the big red wall, and Planendorf was able to hop up on like the bridge abutment and then get over.
So he used the bridge to get up there. I thought he
bridge.
actually used the edge of the spell.
And then they recasted it to where he couldn't do that. So I thought that was just, it's really cool to see the strategy and tactics that are going to be able to use with that particular skill that a tank wouldn't normally have.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of it. I'm probably going to get caught in it all the time, but I'm just a big fan of it.
JB, tank wall, yay or nay? I'm not even going to tell you 10 seconds because that was clearly ignored.
Yeah. Right. Can we go like a 10-minute? Oh, that's beyond.
Thumbs down.
Have you ever given sidebar real quick? Have you ever, in the moment of road rage, given someone a thumbs down and watched their reaction?
The thumbs down.
There is a level of rage out of a human being.
Him the thumbs down.
Yeah, you give them. Okay, so don't be aggressive. Just give someone a thumbs down. I thought a demon was coming out of an old woman. I mean, just
Was she wearing these?
Actually, yeah, I think they were red.
I love the idea of giving them the thumbs down.
You would think you just burnt their house down. I mean, it is unparalleled amount of rage.
So good.
I learned that from Jibs years ago. I don't flip people out. I live in Southern California, man.
That's
you flip
our
somebody
Lewis.
off here,
I remember that.
You might get shot in the face. So I thumbs down. And he's right. Like people they lose their minds.
It's amazing.
Because like they want you to flip them off.
That's
And you're
amazing.
just like, that was bad. That was bad.
That's bad.
Dude, that
bad.
was down in Louisiana. I
Thumbs
remember
down.
that.
JB, shield wall,
Yes.
yay or nay?
Shield wall, yay, 1,000%. And color, yay, 1,000%. I loved it because you knew exactly like, hey, to be fully transparent, yes, this red was so saturated that it really didn't feel like it probably fit with the rest of the skills that are being displayed. However, you knew the wall was here. Right here. You can't miss it. This thing is a neon sign down the Vegas Strip, man. I mean, it's right here. And I loved the use of it. That is such a wonderful ability. Cash is right. I know and he's right on the casters too. The Mage in Warcraft has that ability where it's an ice wall. And you cannot be a great PvPer, but when you know tactics and you know how to purposely use this wall offensively and not defensively, you can funnel people, you can cut people off. I was listening to Chibi Bree and Vertec. They were talking about it the other day, and from what they were saying is that you can't target somebody with the heal, like if a friendly's on the other side of that wall. I love all of this. I think it's so cool that the tank has it. That's the part that I love the most, I think.
Yeah. Cash, you know why I always get mad when I tell you 10 seconds and then you go longer? It's because you take all my good points. It's just a problem. It's that you're too smart for my own good, because if I let you go first and talk too long, then you're going to take all my points. I agree with you on many, many things that you said. I'm going to disagree with JB. I think skill good, animation bad. The color, can't have it. Just thumbs down color.
I'm just trying to get a sign. Thumbs down.
The red, I'm sorry. Nomad Tam, I stole that right from the chat. Nomad Tam said skill good, animation bad. It's not even the animation. The animation was actually kind of good. The color just is so obnoxious. It's so obnoxious. But the thing is this, that it would not take much for them to improve this thing 100-fold. All you'd have to do is just make it look the way that I was describing it, because I was talking about this on the stream a little bit earlier, was if you make it look like the inner part of it is like actually built, like it looks like he had enough juice to really make that wall right with colors and everything, and the animation looks right. And then on the outside of it, if the animation was sort of like moving a bit, like he didn't quite get all of it there, and that stuff sort of became weird colors, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you have enough juice and you make the inner wall great, and then like the outer stuff is kind of on the periphery of what you can control or what you have like the focus to be able to do. That would be what I would recommend on it. But man, the effectiveness you can't deny. Like the skill itself is a banger. It is cool to be able to see how good players will use that. That's the kind of thing that people are going to call for a nerf on if you start to get some creative players that really figure out how to use this, because it just highlighted what I was saying earlier about the three-dimensional battlefield. Man, that battlefield was just so cool. And they might not all be like this. You know, you could end up with some of the human races being in more like open desert type of environments, and that's fine. That's thematically appropriate. But this particular one in the Riverlands was like old bridges and ruins and giant trees and stuff like that. And so
babbling brooks
and swimming trout and morning sunshine and dew on the grass. All of these things that you know had to be dealt with. And so to be able to put that wall and really box off and funnel people in there, the skill is just super, super good.
I see that being a really cool skill for like an off tank. And, you know, imagine having off tank as a position in your war, and you end up at a choke point and your tank has sucked in some of the heavier melee fighters. And then here come the clerics and the casters trying to get within range. You know, they're coming across the bridge. And your off tank's just he's kind of running backwards like this. The fight's behind the off tank, and he's just like, nope. Brrr, builds a wall right in front of him. And it gives the tank the ability to further pull those fighters back. Just one tactic, right? But it is a really cool tool in the tank toolbox. I'm very impressed.
That's going to be a lot of fun too, especially, you know, kind of going off that cache when you're in war, and if you're making call outs, you call out shield wall, something to that effect, and you use it to cut off the back half of that army that's fighting you, especially if you know it's rogues or if you know it's someone who's light armored that you can quickly burst down. It is just going to be, I think, one of the funnest things that I have ever been able to just enjoy in an MMO was playing offensively as a juggernaut in Star Wars: The Old Republic. To those who don't know what a juggernaut is, it's a tank. However, you're playing it offensively. And I don't feel like I have seen that in that sense since then. You can say like you've been able to kind of experience some things, but when you watch this kit from the tank, you know, you're talking about an off tank. You know, think of that from an offensive standpoint. Really using that wall tactically, really playing with those augments, and really seeing how you can mix it up. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun when people are putting together their war groups. They're putting together their guilds, anything that's focused on PvP. I mean, it's going to be fun to watch. There's going to be a lot of great YouTube clips. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, the tactics are going to be nuts. I just really enjoyed seeing small group tactics. I think small group tactics are one of the most fun things that are in a game like this, especially in a big war environment, when you're able to bring it down into smaller groups, because that's kind of, you know, largely how a lot of these things work, you know. So
right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I do have a question for you guys though, and this is a serious question. Maybe the chat can help us here because I don't remember the answer to this, but I know they talked a lot about these wars. Say if you declare war, the war will take place during prime time. Steven said prime time like between 6 and 8 server time, but I know the wiki says prime time is between 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. prime time. So this is my question. Say Margaret does something to piss off Steven in the morning. And he's like, that's it! I've had it! And he declares war at 8 a.m., right?
Yeah.
Immediately that flags all of it flags the citizens of both nodes, right?
Mm-hmm.
It reds them, makes them fight each otherable, killable, right? whatever this term is.
Yep. Universal sign for fight each otherable.
Okay, so say that happens at 9 a.m., but the war is going to take place prime time. Like, will you get some type of a notification that the war is going to take place at this time? That those objectives are going to be available at such and such a time during prime time? Or does that happen immediately once everybody's read? I don't know.
See, I had questions about this as well because as soon as he hit go on war, it was war, right? Like they were immediately fighting, and then he talked about some of these things. So I don't know the answer to that, and I was a little bit confused about some of this stuff as well because of just the nature of it, right? Like that these wars are going to be things that can go on for very long periods of time, and sometimes it could be a long drawn out thing. So maybe you just start this process, and then everyone plays forever. Not forever, but until it's like resolved.
Yeah, it looks like no bad. Actually, quite a few people answered it, but it sounds like events will take place prime time. The war is all the time. So if you're out there just doing your thing and war's been declared and you come up against somebody else from the node that you're warring against, then red is dead. But
so they'll be flagged. They'll be basically red to you, and you can kill them because they're on the other side of the, whatever, the political spectrum.
And you could like run up to them, just be like, "I'll see you tonight at the Rumble."
That's right. The bike racks after school.
Right.
You,
Greasers
don't you dare get on that bus! I swear to God.
Greasers against the Stoches.
I like Strauss's comment. Better send me an email or text on my phone. Let's get an email.
In the middle of your business meeting, sir.
Yeah.
That's when we're sending that to you.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see you like walking slowly up to the enemy, snapping your fingers.
Yeah. Nobody gets that, Sonny. Nobody gets that.
It's a joke
from the outside. It's from the outsiders in the 60s.
It's from West Side Story, but
oh, the snapping fingers is, but the Greasers and the Socias is from the outsiders. And no, I was not alive in the 60s.
What about the movie Grease?
Yeah, and Grease.
Or the play Grease.
Lightning.
That's right.
All right, fellas.
God, we got so old. What happened to us?
We aged out, bro.
Glasses.
Yeah, you're glad you got real old.
I have to buy some of those. All right, so out of 10, Sonny, where are we at? What do we think of this review? Out of 10.
Am I going to go first?
You're
I
going
know what
first.
you guys are going to do. All right, I'm going first on this thing. I'm going to give it a 9. I'm going to give it a 9, which is high for me. It's very high for me. But the upside is all the things that we talked about. Honestly, like I was stoked to see that they didn't just go like, hey, guess what? We're in a war. No, they actually started it and showed like all the different things that can happen and the mayoral process with it. They showed mayoral skills on the battlefield. They showed dragons. Was I the only person that didn't know that we were going to be fighting with dragons?
News to me.
That was a bit of a surprise to me.
They still have a little more work to do on them though, with like the mounting, and I think they're killable, right? So I think the damage meters weren't quite ready to go. And then you could tell, like when the thing went up in the air and it did the big dive, the damage as it hit the ground, the damage on the enemies that it was hitting was not quite registering quickly. So I think there's a lot more work to be done with the Royal Mounts, but still, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
what an
absolutely.
Awesome tool.
Yeah, and then that was another thing. That was another highlight for me. The highlight for me was them explaining to me that the visual effects and the UI are the things that they don't have ready yet. And that's fine with me. I loved that kind of clarity. And then they told us very specifically, these are the kind of things that we do want feedback on. Please give us feedback on this stuff. And, we will adjust these things if that seems like something that the community is largely interested in. Love the 3-dimensional stuff. Love the shield wall, except for the color. And a bit of the animation. Loved a lot of it. What I didn't love was that there was so much information happening all at once with things that were in it, but also not in it, that I felt like I got lost a little bit trying to gather all the information. And I thought maybe, at the end of the whole thing, like a 3-minute just breakdown of it. Did you notice that Steven won the war and didn't even notice?
Yeah. Did we win?
That was how much information was going on, right? Like
Yeah.
there was stuff happening everywhere. So that is something that just took a little bit off the top for me, that it took a lot of concentration to figure it out. And then on top of that, I even had to ask other people. Now, we always say as a podcast, like, we are not the subject matter experts on this. We are a podcast. We are podcasters, right? We love this game and we're learning as much about it as we possibly can. But a lot of times, over and over and over, our community is helping explain some of these finer points to us. And this was a really good example of that. That the difference between war and siege and event and all of that stuff was like wrapped into this in kind of a super not clear way for me. And so I struggled a little bit just trying to figure it all out. But man, there was way more good than bad on this one. And it honestly to date is one of my favorite videos. So I'm going to give it a 9, which is very high praise from me.
Gosh, go ahead.
Despite the things that I was thinking I was going to see out of that video and didn't, I was very pleasantly surprised with the entire thing. So the gameplay flow, the mechanics of the way that the wars are actually done, the mayoral commissions, the flow of gameplay, and especially the ranger gameplay that push it up to a 9 for me. The only reason that it's not going to get a 10 is because it's not done. It's not done. If they do a showcase when everything is done and perfect, which I know they're going to do, like they have a lot more polish and work to do. I mean, we're in the alpha phases. Things are going to get better, so got to leave that room for growth. It gets a 9 for me, which is also insanely high praise. Like I was so pleased with the whole thing. 9 is very good.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a pretty decent stream. I'm going to give it probably 3.5, maybe out of 10.
Solid.
Maybe 4. No, definitely. I'm just kidding. Excellent stream. As a PvPer at heart, it was truly great to watch the wars happen. It was awesome seeing the geography of the map, along the way to the war itself, seeing how the world's developed, seeing the mini map, how they've totally just dialed that in every single month. It just seems to keep getting better. And this rendition was chef's kiss, just phenomenal. It looked amazing. That mini map to me, it looked launch ready. I loved it. The world map, oh my gosh, the world map looked beautiful. I thought the combat, the pacing, the time to kill is spot on. It looks great. It looks like it feels great. And that's something that I really look forward to testing. I think overall, if there's anything I could take away from it, it would be, I would have loved to have seen it without the dragons at all. But I know that there's going to be plenty of types of combat for that, so that's really minuscule and something to probably throw away, to be honest. So overall, definitely 9 out of 10. Exceptional. Absolutely exceptional. So that was a great stream. And I look forward to next month because we have a technical update coming.
How many of us thought that Steven was actually playing a bard at the very beginning until you looked at the skill bar and saw what his skills were?
The outfit? The outfit.
It was very resplendent. He had this.
What kind of
beret.
self-respecting mage is wearing that hat?
He's got a beret that's cocked to one side of his head. He's giving speeches. Like I thought for sure he had like this like 2-tiered cape.
Oh.
I was like, he's a bard, and then
He's
we
all
like
bard.
the skill bar and went, oh, he's a mage.
He's one loot short of a bard.
Oh, it was so good. Gosh, it was so good. Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in, watching on YouTube, and to all of you who have hung out here during the live show. This was LoreForged, the podcast for Ashes of Creation. And if you enjoyed this show, tell us in the comments or leave us a review on a podcast app. However you're tuning in, let us know how we're doing. It helps us gauge the show and helps us to further invest in this show in the future. You can always call us 516-875-1776. That is our voicemail line. It goes straight to our voicemail. And we'll play your voicemails right here on the show during the mailbag segment. And of course, you can always email us, LoreForgedHQ@gmail.com. Sonny.
We had a couple raiders in here. Should we give a little bit of thanks to the raiders? We had the Golden Feather Tavern came in and raided. Who else raided us in the middle there? There's like so many content creators. They all just came in here at the exact same time. Nice Gaming came in. And then we also had, like Zillins in here and Phantom X is in here. And then we've got some people with some GM powers. We certainly have enough people that were in the testing phase. I don't know about you, but it's one of my favorite things to see people that I recognize in the videos when they're out there and all of a sudden you see one of them like take out a dude and you're like, yeah, I know that guy, you know? I love it so much. It's absolutely my favorite. So go ahead, Cash.
No, I was just going to say, I just remember when you and I were doing the stream and we were literally talking about Planendorf and rooting for him. He died a couple times and we're like, Planendorf, no. And all of a sudden we look over and he's in our chat and I was like, what the hell just happened?
What happened?
What just happened? So anyway, Planendorf.
Just throw a jab. What's
Still
going on?
there. That was super cool. Thank you for coming into our chat and explaining some of those things for us. It was very much appreciated.
That's too funny. Is there no one else was in there also? Thank you very much to him. Okay. All right. Where was I on this? Okay. I think I actually just broke my headphones with that. On our website is LoreForged.com. You can go there to find links to all of our Ashes of Creation content. You can find all of our stuff on YouTube as well. That is at youtube.com/@LoreForged. Cash is going to have a brand new YouTube video coming out on Friday. So if you're listening to this right now, it is going to be Monday. If you're not watching it on the stream, which is Wednesday, then so you're going to have to go back in time, but I promise you, YouTube holds old videos. Trust me on this one. It'll be there. You can also find us on twitch.tv/LoreForgedHQ and catch all of our fun stuff on there. We are not playing Ashes of Creation. I was playing Manor Lords the other day, and I had a couple people come in and aggressively ask me how I was playing Ashes of Creation early. And I was like, so I zoomed in on this woman who was like cleaning a bed sheet in like a mop bucket. And I'm like, this is my character. You can see her name is Bethel. And I've decided to roll a washerwoman. And so this is Ashes of Creation. It's mostly just washing this towel.
Oh. There's no raids.
It's not out yet. We're not playing it yet, but you could check us out on twitch.tv/LoreForgedHQ. And finally, it's Patreon. Patreon is where you can go to get all of our stuff early, as well as the State of the Owl, which is our behind the scenes fun little let loose type of show. And that's once a month. That's at patreon.com/LoreForgedHQ. Cash.
We still have to plan our whiskey social. We were going to do it, but nobody was in town. We were going to do that for our patrons and nobody was in town. So we're like, we'll just plan it for the future. So anyway, that's going to be in the future. Friends, you can follow us on X, formerly Twitter, at LoreForgedHQ. You can follow us on our Instagram page at LoreForgedHQ. And our Discord has been popping off. It's actually been really, really good for the past month or so. And we're getting some really cool members in there. So I want to give a very fond welcome to Fantasy 4, Raging Chadada, Algernon of the Solstice, Prem, Big Quads on Campus, and Vexed Weapon Master. Thank you for the amazing names that I could pronounce, and welcome to the Forge fam.
Big Quads on Campus is...
Big Quads.
It's like one of my favorite names of the whole time.
So good. So good.
Oh, well, friends, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We love you. Enjoy your week, and we will see you right here next week on LoreForged at our guild reveal. Mark your calendars.
Guild reveal next week.
June 14th. We've never done anything like this, so we're just thought, let's do it. And come join us. We'd love to see you there. June 14th, 8 p.m. EST. Have a great week, everybody.
Peace, love, and honeybees. Sorry,
Thank you.
I spaced out. I lost it.
You are having a moment. Safe travels,
I can't hear out of one ear now.